Hi, everyone. Welcome to this course. I hope you had a nice summer. Unfortunately, now it's back to school. I'm Guillaume. I'll be your lecturer for this course, ACTL3142. You can call me Gilly. You can call me Guillaume if you want, but usually Gilly is easier. It's my Aussie nickname. I'm from Montreal, so a French-speaking city in Canada, hence my accent. In this video, aside welcoming you to the course, I will do all the housekeeping. Maybe other lecturers do the housekeeping, speaking about Moodle, assignments, etc. in the first lecture. I don't like that. I want to jump right into the content of the first lecture. So now in this video, I'm going to explain all the course structure and the websites and the assessments and so on. Frankly, it's all information you can find on the course website and you can review for yourself. But here, I don't want to be accused of not doing my job. So I'm going to review this with you. So let me just share what I want to share, those slides called course overview. Again, if you simply want to review those by yourself, I think you'll get all the information from them, but I'll review this now. So your teaching team, basically, there's only one lecturer, me, Guillaume or Gilly. Now I did include the picture of Patrick because he really is the mastermind behind those slides, and you'll see, I'll show in a second, we have a course website, which is very nice that Patrick created, so I thought to give him credit for that, but he's not teaching this semester, so please don't bother him, right? Don't go find his email address somewhere and send him emails, because then he might be annoyed with me. I put the tutors here as well. We have two tutors this term. Very rude of me not to include their pictures there, but I did put their pictures on the Moodle, which should be here. So here you go. You have Hossein and Nathan, your two tutors for the course. Now, what is this course about? We're going to explore this, of course, overall in the trimester, but it is practical skills for building what we're going to call predictive and/or classification models. So from data, usually we want to make predictions about a whole host of different things. And of course, we're going to present many models that, again, have usually this goal of predicting something, whether it be something financial, something that has to do with insurance, something that has to do with sales. It's good to have models, but obviously we want to understand how they work and also when and why they don't work. And because this is where maybe in this day and age, your expertise will be needed in the workforce, because now anybody can just ask ChatGPT or something like that to create a model. But if you don't have the expertise of what the model is actually doing and how to interpret it, it's not worth anything to have just a model. You need to be able to say what the results of the models are. And this is just a picture, of course, generated with AI, showing what your future career might be after this course. You might be this young lady here explaining to this barista-looking man how he can increase his sales of chai latte. Okay, course contents. Frankly, this is from last year, and it's my first time teaching this course. So I left what the structure of the course last year. I'm not going to change the content. I will try to go a bit faster. So what is called here regression theory, if we can manage together, I might try to cover those 5 topics in maybe 4 weeks. And that would be the ideal, because then we can do cross-validation in week 5. And then those 3 topics, cover them in week 6, 8, and 9. And the ideal scenario would be that week 10 is for revision only. Now, this might be a little bit ambitious, but we're already gaining time by not reviewing those slides in the first week. So remember that we're already going to be a little bit ahead. And if we can grab a bit of advance in other topics, we might manage that. Of course, I'll let you know every week what are the topics for the specific week. Okay, learning activities. Some of it is self-study. So every week I'll give you textbook chapters to read. Those are going to be presented those are going to be on the very first page of the course website that I'm going to show in a second. That I'm going to call those mandatory readings. Obviously, I have no way to force you to do those readings, but please, I really encourage you to not skip those readings. They will really help you to solidify your knowledge and to achieve, of course, that sweet HD you have been dreaming about. The lectures. In the timetable, there's 3 hours of lecture. I will only use the 2-hour that is on the Monday for a face-to-face class. Now, there's a fair amount of content in this course, so I suspect most weeks I'll need a bit more than 2 hours, but whatever I don't have the time to cover in the Monday 9 to 11 lecture, I'll record a video and send it to you as I need. Again, it's my first time teaching the course, so I'm not fully, I don't fully understand how much time I'm going to need every week yet. This is why I'm going to keep the flexibility, 2 hours in class, and then whatever I don't have time to cover, I'll send you a video that you can watch at your leisure. This is what is explained there. And then the good thing with this is that because there's already the time slot there, Tuesday 11 to 12, it's there. So technically you should be available in that time. So I'll put the consultation in that time, so you can have a chat with me if you think I can help. Okay, and then of course there's what we call labs here, but this is what other would call tutorials. You have 90 minutes of tutorials every week with a competent tutor. All the questions and even the solutions are going to be available on the course website. I would say, as usual, try to do those problems yourself without looking at the solution too much. Otherwise, it's not clear. Sometimes, you think you understand by watching the solution or looking at the solutions, but you don't fully understand until you really try to do it yourself. And I told the tutors I want this to be quite participative in the tutorials, right? The tutors are not going to just explain all the problems for 90 minutes and you just listen, right? I want this to be to have participation. So there's going to be one part of the tutorial where the tutor might explain a bit more, but another part where they're going to let you loose and do some problems, especially the programming task. And of course, they're going to be there to supervise and still help you in that period. Okay, here we are, the course website. So this is maybe not that typical of other courses, but here we have a nice website available to the whole world, okay, not only the people registered in this course. So it's public, where all the materials for the course are. I can maybe, so you could click this link, it's going to open the page here. So I'm going to go over here. You have a home. Okay, I'll let you explore the website at your leisure. You have the lectures. So this would be like the slides I'm going to present in class. Then you have the labs. Here there's a glossary of R functions, readings to do. Now, disclaimer, I so far I've only updated or reviewed the first module. And those readings, I also slightly updated them. So I want you in the first week already to read chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3.1 of the main textbook that I'm going to present in a second. But here I'm just saying it's my first time teaching the course. So unfortunately, I haven't reviewed everything in detail yet. I'm not going to make big changes, but I could change a couple of things here and there, examples, notation, blah, blah, blah. So the course, it's already there from last year. You can already review it if you want. I'm not going to make massive changes, but I'm just saying small changes will happen. And I'm going to let you know every week once I've updated the given week or module here. So for now, only module 1 has been, say, vetted by me for this year, 2025. But if you want to get a head start and already go over module 2, module 3, the content will be essentially the same. Everything I'm going to change is going to be tweaks. Okay, that's good for the website. And then, if for example, we keep module 1 course overview, that's exactly the content I'm presenting now so I'm presenting this via slides, but you have it here as a more readable format that maybe you prefer to read this in this format rather than the slides. But the slides are actually available here, other formats. Okay, this reveal JS format is exactly what I'm presenting, what was already open here. So, okay, now I have opened it twice. I'm going to close one window and keep going. Okay, course textbook. There's one main one, and then maybe a few weeks, there's going to be a few additional readings to do. This textbook is very, very popular, super well known, and amazingly, it's free. So totally free. You can download the PDF. If you click here, book. They have actually 2 versions of the textbook. One is all the programming is done in R. This is the one I'm going to use. And one is all the programming is done in Python. But for this course, we're going to mostly focus on R. So you can click here and it's gonna download. Yes, should download. And then you're going to have it in your files there. And so you can start enjoying the textbook straight away. Okay, now going back to this. Okay, this is just explaining how great the textbook is. Blah, blah, blah. Just a comment that the textbook is maybe not, the maths are not that heavy in the textbook. They're not doing all the proofs. They're not doing all the heavy maths that are beneath all those statistical models. It's a very hands-on textbook because this is meant to be a very practical course that you learn how to fit the model, interpret them, use them. It doesn't focus so much on the very strong theory that is behind all the proofs. They're essentially not in the textbook, which I suppose most of you will not complain too much about. But maybe at some points there's a slight, I don't want to say lack of rigor, but yeah, it's not all the mathematical details or justification that are there in the textbook. Okay, now Moodle, because we have all the course resources on the website, we're not going to use Moodle that much. It's still the central platform that we need for a couple of things, but basically it's just for your basic course info. The lecture recordings, as usual, are going to be hosted on this Echo 360, and that's you access it from Moodle. Submissions of assignments are still on Moodle, and then it's going to be also the link to other platforms. So for now, I can show you what the Moodle looks like somewhere here. There's not too much. Well, you have a link to the course website, course outline. Okay, Ed Forum. I'm going to speak about the Ed Forum in a second. And here, there's not much for now. The lecture recordings, another link to the Ed Forum. Okay, just a summary of the assignments that I'm going to talk about in a minute. And this, again, I'm going to come back to it. I've already opened the first task for you. Now, don't panic. The first task is just an easy icebreaker worth 1%. Okay, next point is actually the Ed discussion. By now, you probably have used Ed discussion, also called Ed Forum, also called Ed STEM in other courses. I quite like it. I think it's much better than Moodle for asking questions. So we're going to use that. Main mode of communication, blah, blah, blah. Okay, please ask all your questions there. If you ask me a question by email, I might not answer, or I might tell you, ask it on the Ed Forum. Because then it's much more efficient, of course. You know, if you don't understand a specific exercise or something like that, other people will benefit from the answer, right? So I'd rather answer on the forum. Now you must open the Ed Forum at least once in order to be enrolled in it. That's actually not really true because it's true by default, but I've actually manually added everybody enrolled as of today. So if you enroll late or something like that, then yes, you will need to click on the link to be enrolled. But as of today, I've enrolled everybody automatically in the Ed. Okay, the benefits of asking your questions on Ed allows you to get help at any point. Please don't be shy. Of course, we're here to help you. So you know, there's never a thing as there's no such thing as a bad question, of course. And then it creates a sense of community, of course. As you see that other students are having questions, you realize that you're not struggling alone. Other people are struggling as well. And it also gives you an opportunity to help others. Because here I'm going to ask you, if you know the answer to a question that somebody else has asked, please answer. There's no harm in that. I think it helps you. You know, you realize if you really understand something when you answer somebody else that asks something about that thing. So yeah, try it. And of course, it makes the teaching staff happy. As I said, if I don't have the same question to answer 10 times by emails, but just one time on the Ed Forum, it's going to make me happy and I'll be in a good mood, which you probably want when I'm grading your assignments. Now, a few tips about the best use of the forum. Look, don't be shy about posting, but please do have a quick check. Maybe your question has been answered somewhere else. Maybe the answer is directly in the course lecture slides. Maybe it's already been posted on the web on the forum before. So have a quick look to make sure really you don't have any other way to find an answer to your question than to ask a question on the forum. Also, please be specific, right? And include any attempt you have made already to answer a question, right? If you ask something like, I don't understand this exercise, it's not specific enough, right? Please tell us what you don't understand so we can better pinpoint the specific thing you need explanations about. You know, if you say I don't understand this exercise, I might start explaining something that is not relevant at all to you. Like you understand the part I'm explaining, it's a different part you don't understand. And then also show some love. Yes, of course, you can heart react on the platform. So we can go to a platform right now. So yeah, you can, Mark has already asked a question, or rather he pointed out the fact that there was a link missing in the website. I'm very happy and I'm very grateful that Mark made me correct this. I'm going to heart, I'm going to heart this. And by the way, there's no, so other people don't see if you put a like. I don't see if you put a like. So there's no worries that you will think I shouldn't like the post by the teacher because then people are going to think I'm a suck up to the teacher. No. I have no idea to know if you like something or not. Okay, and Nathan also deserves a little heart here. Maybe I deserve one too. I let you choose. Okay, moving on. Okay, Ed Resources, just a comment here. I haven't put anything yet on Ed Resources, but most likely I will. So I don't know if other lecturers have used this functionality of Ed, but here, if you go back to the Ed, now we're in this thing called discussion, but there's a tab here called resources. Now I haven't put anything there. In a nutshell, I will put on the course website, when it's already there, all the course content that are not cohort specific. But if I have files to share with you that are really specific to your cohort, maybe global feedback about an assignment you've done, maybe the annotation I will make in class, there's no point me putting this on the website publicly. So I'll put them on the Ed resources, because next year I'm not going to need those files, so there's no point for them to be on the course website. Okay, but of course I'll let you know as I go along when I put things over there on Ed resources. Okay, now assessment, maybe the part that you're interested in the most. Maybe you actually fast forward this video to this segment. So let's talk about the assessment and the grade breakdown. So 3 things here: formative assessments, the assignment, and the final exam. Now, final exam, there's not much to explain. It's going to be in the usual end of semester or end of trimester period. But let's explain a little bit the formative. So as in other courses I think you might have had, those are kind of smaller marks that are usually not too hard to get. And the goal is not to assess you on a scale. So it's basically you're going to get the mark or you're not going to get it. If you do a decent attempt, you should get the mark to those things. Okay, so as I said, there's this introduce yourself task. So this is just an icebreaker, easy questions for you to present yourself to me and your peers, just 1%. And then there's going to be 5 of the so-called story walls. And each of them is going to be worth 3%. Now you see here, those percentages don't sum to 10. So basically, the max you can get is 10%, but you can essentially miss 2 of the 3% task and still get full marks for this. So it's a relatively lenient, I would say, way to give you marks. Then there's going to be the main assignment. It's actually going to be in 2 parts. So one submission for part A, 10%, and one submission for part B, 20%. Okay, what is this thing called story wall? So again, those are the smaller 3% tasks. Formative assessments designed to encourage you to engage with the course content and start experimenting early. So basically here, I don't want this to be stressful. I want you to have an incentive, so a little bit of a mark, to put some work almost every week towards achieving the course, let's say, learning outcomes. Now, those story walls, they have 2 components. So there's going to be a set of questions for every task. So you must attempt every component and show either your solution or your partial solution to every component. I suppose partial solution means that, okay, if you cannot quite get to the right answer, or you're not sure, or your answer is not perfect, don't stress about it, right? If you make a good attempt, if you show that you took the task seriously and you really tried, I'll give you the marks. But also, you must give feedback to another student submission. So that's another component of those smaller tasks. Once you've posted your task, and this is always going to be on Moodle, only then are you going to see the submissions from other students. Okay, because otherwise it's too easy to kind of copy other people, right? So you don't see their submission until you posted yours. But then once you've posted yours, you need to go and find a submission of somebody that doesn't have a comment yet, and give them that, take a good read at their stuff, evaluate it, and give them a piece of constructive feedback. You can view yourself as almost a grader. I don't want you to be harsh. I want you to be constructive, but tell them what they did right. Maybe something they could have done a bit differently. Maybe an opinion. Maybe something like that. And this is going to be explained in a bit more detail in each of the tasks. And again, this is all going to be on Moodle. Okay, you need to do both those things, answer the actual questions and give feedback in order to get the grade. And again, you can view this as a pass or fail. If your attempt is decent, I give you the grade. Otherwise, you don't get the grade. Okay, and also we, the teaching staff, I'm telling you straight away, unfortunately, we don't have the time, we don't have the budget to grade all those things in detail. So frankly, the comments from your peers will be the primary source of feedback you're going to get from those tasks. I might give some sort of global feedback if I realize students make always the same mistakes or something like that. But unfortunately, we won't have the time to read in large details every single submission for those 5 story walls. Now, when are they due? Those things in weeks 3, 4, 7, 8, and 10. Now, pro tip, try to get 10 out of 10, okay, for those things, for the formative, because frankly, it's not automatic marks. You need to take it seriously, but it should be reasonably easy marks to get. Project, as I said, will be 2 different submissions. Now, there's going to be, last year, there was a strong link between the 2 parts. I'll try to do the same because I think it's quite nice that there's actually a strong connection between the part 2 and the part 1. This is why I call it one assignment in 2 parts rather than 2 separate assignments. The first part, 10%, will be due Friday, 11:55 a.m. Careful with that, so just before noon. To be honest with you, I haven't designed the task yet. I need to do that ASAP. But it's clear it's going to be a data science. Lots of data to analyze and make probably predictive models and things like that. And then the second part will be due towards the end of the term, Friday, week 9. Okay, so just to summarize, whenever things are due, so the introduce yourself is actually due at the end of the first week. Okay, so you don't have too much time, but it's a simple task. I think that should be fine. Nothing in week 2, but then story wall 1, 2, and week 3 and 4. Week 5 is assignment part 1. Week 6 is flexibility week, so nothing, and then etc. Now you might say, oh, we have something to do every week almost. That's a lot. Yes, but remember, those story walls they're easy marks, and they're meant for you to keep up with the course content. And remember, you can miss 2 and still get full marks for that part. So I frankly, I don't think it's too bad that there's something due most weeks. Okay, important late policy for the formative, for the story walls, because it's pretty lenient that you can miss 2 tasks and still get full marks. I'm not going to be lenient elsewhere, so meaning we're not going to grant special consideration, and you cannot submit a task late. So there's not going to be exceptions. You need to submit them by the due date. And again, the reasoning is it's because you can miss 2 and still get 10 out of 10. View this as an automatic special consideration. I understand sometimes life might get in the way, or you could be sick or something like that. There's already the provision that you can miss 2 and get full marks because you do the others. And then for the assignment, of course, then you can apply for special consideration, but this is a centralized system. You're probably familiar with it by now. The lecturer, me, doesn't make the decision about special consideration. You need to apply to UNSW central system. There's a process for that. If you ask me directly, I might be slightly cranky because it's not really my job to deal with, I was sick, my dog ate my homework, blah, 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 right? So you need to apply for special consideration, but obviously I'm going to respect whatever the outcome is there. And as you might know, the general rule, if you do not have special consideration, you get a penalty. I would say it's relatively modest, 5% per day, but only up to 5 days. So careful with that. If you submit after 5 days without special consideration, your grade goes from minus 25% to no submission or a 0. Here, I mean, I don't want to insult your intelligence with this, but there's a specific example, right? For the assignment part 2 or 20%, it's due Friday, week 9, 11:55 a.m. So if you don't have special consideration and you submit late, well, if you submit at 11:55, okay, you've played with fire, but no penalty. But if you submit at 11:56, 5% penalty. You submit at 11:56 the day after, the Saturday, 10% penalty, etc. And again, as I said, okay, if you submit Tuesday 11:56, you still have only 25% penalty. But then if you submit 5 days and 1 minute late, well, then you get 0. Okay, so careful with that. Okay, lastly, I need to tell you that plagiarism, you need to be careful about that. Really, the best strategy do not send or show your work to other students. I understand you might want to discuss maybe qualitatively the assignment problems with your others. That's fine. Collaboration is good. But as soon as you send your assignment to somebody else, you lose control of it over it. You might tell them, look, this is just to help you. Don't copy it. And your friend is going to say, yeah, of course. And then they use it straight away, as is. And maybe I found out, and you both get 0, and you both end up on the plagiarism register of UNSW, which is not something you want, I'm sure. Now, there's a bit of an explanation here or comment. Now, I know I'm aware of ChatGPT and other large language models. I'm not discouraging you to use them. Okay, this is now the technology that is free for people to use, but you should treat it as, in my view, as any other reference, right? If you use the outputs from ChatGPT, without modification, you need to cite. Okay, you need to say, okay, I've used this, like you would quote something you found in a textbook or something like that, right? And actually, I'm going to explain this probably with more detail later, but I'm going to actually ask you explicitly in your assignments to have an appendix where you actually tell me how you've used those AI tools in your assignment. And if the answer is I haven't used it at all, that's fine, but I still want you to write I have not used AI. Okay, but again, the details will be in the actual assignments. For the exam, I don't think I have too much to say. Okay, there's going to be a few years of past exams. I think the course, from my understanding, has changed a fair bit in the last 2 years. So probably the last 2 exams will be the most appropriate. But again, this I'm going to announce later, or give them available to you later, the final exams from previous years. Okay, and then lastly, if that's interesting to you, a little bit of former students' feedback. What do they say about this course? Okay, I've actually included as is, just copy paste. I haven't even corrected the grammatical errors. I mean, I don't have the time of my experience results from previous years, the actual comments from the students. One overall point to make: many students, I would say most, from what I can see from those comments, really like the practical aspect of this course. The fact that we have real data, we apply our predictive models to it, and we get valuable insights from those models. And we do that, of course, using programming, okay, specifically using R. Many students like it. Here, I'm not going to read this whole text, but basically the students like the programming part so much that he or she is actually considering dropping actual studies to do a computer science instead, which, it's great for them. Maybe my boss wouldn't be so happy to hear about this, that we're losing students to computer science. But anyway, they really like the computing part. Another students, this one, completely loaded the practical aspects. Frank, I put this here. It's a bit funny, and I want to make sure I give you both opinions. From what I saw, this is not the majority opinion, but still, again, I'm not going to read this whole text. You can read it for yourself, but they're very cranky. Somebody is cranky when there's so many question marks. Basically, they say the course should be much more theoretical, much more math heavy, and they don't like programming. They even say here, I frankly don't think this is a majority opinion, but they would like to have a 70% final instead of 60%. Okay, well, it's I will respect this opinion, but make what you will of it. Our perspective, and this is the perspective from the past year lecturers, and I think I agree with this roughly. Well, you will need to do a lot of programming in this course, so it might be a bit of a step up compared to the programming you've done it with other courses. I'm not entirely sure, but it's not a computer science course. It's still it's going to be a mix of theory, concepts, and then applying them and using programming mostly to get results from our models. But again, yeah, it could be some sort of step up if you're not so familiar with R specifically. But we're here to help. The tutorials are going to be focusing quite a lot on R, so that should help. And then there's the discussion board, of course, to resolve any problems you might encounter. I think it's fair to say, yeah, that what is called statistical or machine learning can be very enjoyable, because when your code works and you obtain results that are meaningful and you know how to interpret them, you feel like a king, yeah, or queen, right? You feel like, oh, I've done really something useful. Maybe I'm going to be the next Mark Zuckerberg. I'm going to keep coding and invent something great. Now, it can be frustrating when your code doesn't work, okay? But in that case, we should be able to help you. Now, of course, I don't think there's shortcuts here. With programming, there's no way to progress without making a lot of mistakes and then learning from your mistakes. And then, of course, yeah, view this course as a safe environment to learn these skills. Make some mistakes now, which is in a safe environment, right? If you make a mistakes now, you're not going to cause a financial crisis, right? It should be fine. And then hopefully you gain the confidence to make informed decisions later in your successful careers. And yeah, as a note, with some likelihood, your future career will contain a sizable data science or statistical programming element. I don't want to say necessarily, right? I think some people have actuarial careers still that they don't program that much, but I think more and more programming is quite important. So yeah, it's a key part of your chosen profession. And here they say, well, if you realize you really hate programming, you're totally averse to it, yeah, maybe you can reflect a little bit on your career path, or at least find a way that doesn't have too much programming if you hate it and you don't think you can make it work. But this perhaps is something for you to think about. Suggestion: get a rubber duck. Yes, that's a real suggestion. It's a real thing in the IT, I suppose, and computer science. There's a Wikipedia page. Yeah, I say that as a bit tongue-in-cheek, right? But the idea of the rubber duck or a teddy bear or something like that is that when you're stuck in your code, to explain it to the rubber duck can be surprisingly helpful, because if you explain it to somebody or a rubber duck, you're going to actually have to think very carefully about each step of the code, right? If you have a long piece of code and somewhere in the middle there's a mistake because your code doesn't run or produce nonsensical output, if you actually start explaining line by line your code to the rubber duck, you might realize there's a mistake there that you're not seeing by just reading your code, right? If you say, okay, this first line is doing this, then I have a loop that does this, then I have a loop that does this, then I have a output. Oh, actually, there's no output there. You might realize when you explain something to someone, you might realize mistakes that you wouldn't realize by just your own thought process. Anyway, that's the suggestion there. And again, you can read a bit more in the Wikipedia article. And the other thing is, the rubber duck is not judgmental. Anything you say to it, he's going to keep it as a secret. He's not going to judge you. He's not going to make remarks that you might not like if, for example, you tell a human your code problems. So anyway, I'll leave you to that. The last suggestion is, can be useful. Maybe speak to the rubber duck in private. Right? If you do that in the public space, not too sure how it's going to turn out. But take my suggestion as that only suggestion. Okay, now here there's a few slides of literal comments from the students, as I said before. I'm not going to go over them. You can read them if you want. What were the best things about this course? Okay, this is. You can read it. I made sure to include. So frankly, this course seems to be well liked overall. Students seem to be quite happy with it. I did include a few not as praiseful comments here. What could be improved? Too much content in 9 weeks, giving me nightmares. Okay, sorry about that. I was not in charge, but anyway, it is what it is, right? Actual courses at UNSW, 9 weeks of content, that it does go by pretty fast. Okay, again, I'm not going to review those. You can read them if you're interested. Okay, and the last section, similar. So this is not feedback from the. That's not from my experience. Last year or in the last few years, the lecturer was giving a reflection tasks to the students at the end of the course, basically asking them, this question: is there anything you wish you could have told your former self before starting to help them prepare to learn the topics? Could be useful for you. So those are literal students from previous years who insight after having spent a whole semester with this, or a whole term. I need to change my language. I was last year I was a lecturer at Macquarie, right? So they had semesters over there. Anyway, might be helpful for you to read those things students wish they had told their former self before starting the course. But again, I'm not going to read them. You can read them for yourself if you are interested. And essentially, yes, I'm at the end of my of those slides. Okay, this video is already pretty long, so. Yeah, I think that's. Let me think. Is there any other things here I should have said? I don't think so. I had opened here the timetable, but this is stuff you can find for yourself. Okay, our classes are lecture, as I said, I'm going to use only the Monday 9 to 11, so in person in the Colombo theater, and that's it. Here I just see my colleague Alan. They put Mr. here. Very rude. Alan is a doctor. He has a PhD, and they put Mr. here. Poor Alan. Maybe I'm going to tease him about this later. Anyway, okay. Now I'm starting to say irrelevant stuff. So it's my time to stop. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to wish you a good day. Any questions? Anything unclear? Send your questions my way on the Ed discussion forum. Okay. Bye for now.